Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to my channel. My name is Mike and today I have another 10 eyeshadow palette review for you. In case you're unfamiliar with these, every once in a while, whenever I've tried 10 eyeshadow palettes that are new to me, I like to group them all together and do like rapid fire reviews, show you swatches, show you the different looks that I did with them with the different palettes as well. So I've been taking pictures of all of these as I was using them. And when I was making that thumbnail, unfortunately, I did have a bit of a casualty because something fell. And let me just start with that because then we can just get that one out of the way. So I'm a bit gutted, but my Melt Blueprint stack, which is another eyeshadow palette, it's not really a palette, of course, that already came very fragile and shattered. I've mentioned before in like other videos that Melt eyeshadows are just incredibly difficult to transport because they are so fragile. And now I just dropped it and this lightest shade, this like minty shade, completely fell out. So I had to take out my vacuum cleaner because it fell onto my rug and there was no way I was going to be able to pick it up. So that one's gone, unfortunately. But that's not the only thing that's unfortunate about this stack, because this stack came with 3 broken shadows when it arrived at my doorstep. And I found out as that happened to me, that is something that happens to a lot of people when it comes to especially the Blueprint stack. Like, these shimmers are just so fragile that they just break. And yes, there was an extra layer of protection in the little box that it came in, but then whoever had packed the package just hadn't really gotten a really good like there were other things in that order and those were all wrapped in like additional paper, but this wasn't. So this was just like bouncing around the box as it was being delivered, which is why it came shattered. I was able to repress all of them, and the only one that was okay, by the way, is the blue one. And I have to say, I really like the quality of it. I didn't use this for a while because I was afraid that because of the repressing, maybe the formula wasn't the same. However, now that I've even lost a shade, like if Melt starts doing this as a palette, or maybe if this stack goes onto a major sale, I might pick it up again to try and see if I can keep it whole this time, because I really like the color story. You get, let me just hold up the neutrals for you. You get these like 4 neutrals, which is like a peachy golden duochrome, and then a bronze, which is not my favorite shade, and then this like more golden tone, and then a matte as well. So you get 3 shimmers that are neutral. And as you can see, because of how, like, I'm not sure, there's something in these shadows, and because these are magnetized, this shadow sticks to the magnet, so I couldn't clean them up very well, so they look very messy. And then you get these stunning blues, and this combined with these neutrals, I think is where it's at for me. This was my least favorite part of the stack to begin with, so I'm not too fussed, and I could always like throw out this little disc and just keep it as a 3-part stack if I wanted to. It is lovely. I think in terms of like neutrals with a pop of blue, this is quite possibly one of the most curated color stories like that on the market. So I do really like mine. I did get my money's worth back because this came shattered. So in the end, I mean, I was able to repress it. I was like, I'll try to salvage it. So the fact that I even still have it, it's, I think, okay. Melt has lovely quality eyeshadow, and I was very happy to see that the quality wasn't altered by repressing it. But now that it's just so messy, I don't think I'll use it ever again, because it's just, it gives me a bit of a headache just thinking of this one. So I'm just hoping that since Melt seems to be redoing every single one of their eyeshadow palettes, like every stack as an eyeshadow palette, maybe they'll come out with the Blueprint palette in like a couple of months' time. Who knows? I might pick that up then, just so I have those shades, because I do love those 2 navies. Have my heart. Really, they do. Next up would be the Huda Beauty Neon Obsessions Orange palette. So I only bought one of the Huda Beauty Neon Obsessions because the other 2, when I swatched them in store, the color stories weren't really my jam. And the reason why I only got around to using this right now, because I bought this during a Black Friday sale, was because I wanted to save this for the summertime. Because to me, This is summer in a palette. These little Huda Beauty palettes just have my heart. I have a few of these and I generally like the quality. Where in the like gemstone obsessions I felt some of the shades were duds or they were superfluous, I feel that every single shade in this palette works. I love how this is very warm toned. You can make it very orange and fiery, but if you stick to these more like corally, pinky kind of shades, you can easily turn this into a pink look. And then you also have this like highlighter neon yellow. So for me, out of the three, this was the best option because it just had all of the shades that I would want in a neon palette, even though these aren't as neon as they perhaps could have been. I know that that was a critique from a lot of people. But yeah, I'm not a fan of warm tones usually, but this, I just thought it was like summer slushies, you know, just a drink by the pool kind of idea, and I really appreciated it for that. I don't have that many super bright eyeshadows, so I felt that this was a really good addition, and I feel that the quality of this was definitely up to par with other Huda Beauty palettes that I've tried, especially the ones that come in this plastic packaging. I feel this is very similar to the Nude Obsessions that she did. Let's just talk about, again, some smaller palettes, because that was definitely what it was about this month, which is obviously why I was able to already try another 10 eyeshadow palettes. But you saw me use this in a Get Ready With Me. This is the Viseart Petite Pro 3. And this is such a little baby palette. It's like just a little envelope style. Comes with a little mirror in the top, and then you get 8 shades. And those 8 shades are very neutral, very boring shades. You get 2 greens, 2 like mauves, and like it looks a little bit more pink in real life than I thought it did on the pictures, but when I apply it to my eyes, it's more like a violet-y pink kind of thing, so I really like that purpley shade that you get in here. And then you get like a peachy matte, a champagne, and 2 like brownie neutrals. So this is great for like everyday wear, and I wanted to try this because I had never tried Viseart mattes. I only have their Sultry Muse eyeshadow palette, and that is an all shimmer palette, and because it's all shimmer, because I feel I can get a full look out of this. And with this, I mean, you can use all 8 shades to create a look, I guess, because you do have like the full range of mattes that you need to create a bit of depth and dimension with a couple of fun shimmers. But you could also very easily just use like 2 or 3 of these. I think this is a really cleverly done palette, and I think it really appeals to a lot of people, especially if you're someone like me who wants to do quick makeup in the morning. Then this is a lovely quality palette. I do find that Viseart is quite expensive for what it is though. I still feel that way. I wanted to try something differently by Viseart before I completely write off the brand. And yes, the quality is nice, but I do think it's overpriced. And this little set I got together, I think at the end of April, maybe May. Like I bought 3 of the Nabla Cutie palettes. They came out with the nude and the coral last year, and then this year they released 3 more, the Metropolitan, the Platinum, and the Wild Berry. I decided to go with 3. The nude didn't really interest me because it was a little, well, nude, you could say, and a bit boring because I have a lot of neutrals already, so I don't need more. But I also passed up on the Metropolitan because the Metropolitan from the new range I thought was very similar to the coral in the older range that they did. So from the number 2, it also has this like very vibrant, like almost neon kind of coral shade. I believe the one in the Metropolitan is even brighter than this one, but I just thought that this would be a more unique color story, and I was like, I'm not gonna buy both of them because they are just too similar to me, and this just seemed a little bit more of that warm tone corals sort of. It just appealed to me more. This pink is a duochrome, that orangey shade is a duochrome, which I love. This matte is stunning. I really like the look of that red actually too. The only shade in here that I don't really care for is Coral Amber. It's just a bronze. So for me, that could have been a different shade. However, I do think that it makes the palette a bit more wearable for every day. But yeah, these 4 shades especially make this palette really lovely. Angelica Nugvist has been raving about this palette ever since she got hers last year, and that really made me want to try it. And then when I saw how similar it was to the Metropolitan, I decided to pick this up over that one. But I did get 2 of those new palettes. I got the Wild Berry, which actually is what I'm wearing on my eyes today, in case you were wondering. And this is perhaps my favorite of the 3 that I got. I love a good berry. I just really like it. And I love how Venom is like nice and bright. It's got that like pinky purpliness to it. Really, really stunning. I put a bit of botanic juice on the lower lash line together with incense. Blackberry I've used as liner, and then these 2 shimmers, Bucolic Baby is like really pretty all over the lid. But one of the reasons why I wanted to get this palette is Alchemy 2.0. Alchemy by Nabla I own as a single, and it's one of my favorite singles in my entire makeup collection. It's so stunning. So for them to come out with like a different rendition of it, it's just really nice. You can't even see how gorgeous these shades are in real life. They all have something flippy to them, especially those shimmers. This palette has my heart, yes. So yeah, this is, it's still very wearable. It's still nothing too like crazy and intense if you don't want it to be, but if you build up these shades, then oh boy. And the mattes in these little palettes are really stunning too. And then last but not least, I have the Nabla Platinum palette here. And this, of course, you know, it's cool tones, so you know I had to try it. I just wish the gold wasn't in here because Priceless, I feel just not really my cup of tea. These 2 shades are really pretty, and I thought it looked a little bit warm until I started using it, because these have like almost like a pink running through them, it seems. And then you get this really nice matte dark brown. I love how this has 4 shimmers and only 2 mattes. That's my favorite thing. This seems to have gotten a bit of hard pan gem system, but I can still pick it up with a brush. But that does seem like it's gotten a little bit of a layer over it already, but it still works. I was able to use it just fine the other day. Really nice, stunning taupey shade, very sparkly, very shimmery. And this is quite similar to the Venus Immortalis by Limecrime, which is one of my favorite palettes. But that one I feel is a little bit more perfect. Like this has these warm, this has a certain level of warmth to it, which is what I don't like. I just want a cool tone to be a cool tone. Plus, I feel that cool tones don't have to be boring taupes and grays. Like, it can be more interesting than that. And a lot of brands just seem to limit themselves to like black, grays, and taupes whenever they do a cool tone palette. Like Nabla is doing right here. It would have been so nice if this would have been like something plummy. Like, if that would have been like a shimmering version of that, how stunning would it have been? That would have been much more perfect to me. But that's not what we're getting, so can't say anything about that. Another very recent palette to me, I only bought this I think at the end of June, is the Violets by Juvia's Place. And this was definitely on my wish list. I wanted to try one of these mini palettes by Juvia's. However, 2 of them are quite neutral. You have the nudes and the chocolates, which didn't really speak to me. The berry one I'm still umming and ahhing about, but I mean, I have the Wild Berry by Nabla as well, so do I really need it? But this, because it has such a fun purple color story, and purples is like one of my favorite shades to wear, I just really wanted to try it. A lot of people have been saying about this that it only has 2 mattes. To me, someone who prefers shimmers over mattes, I really love this. So these shades of shimmer are great. This is more of like a rose gold, but when I was doing a look with this, I put it in like the center of the lid, and it was really lovely. I love how this really reminds me of the shimmering purple you get in the Magic palette. And actually this matte also reminds me of the matte purple in the Magic. So these 2 sort of give a similar look, I think. But yeah, this is really stunning. I love how you get a good range of different purples that are still purple. This is not purples with an unexpected warm undertone. These are true royal purples. And I've only done one look with it so far, but I did use all the shades, and I can't wait to play around with this a bit more, because even though this only has 6 shades, I'm super inspired to do many other looks with this because it's just such a fun little palette. Let's stick the purples for a minute, because I tried 2 of the Limecrime palettes, and one of them is the Venus III. This is one that I did pick up a little bit later. I didn't get this on release by any means, but I bought that Limecrime Venus Immortalis over the winter time, liked the quality so much that I was like, I want to try more of these little, well, they're not that little because they're quite thick, but so these 8-pan Limecrime palettes. And this is what the Venus 3 looks like. And I have to say, once I got it in, I was like, oh, I'm not entirely sure about that, because it only really has one purple, maybe two, these two. So I was like, I'm not sure. But in the end, as I was playing around with it, I found that these shades just play off each other really nicely. This is a stunning crease shade, even though it has quite a bit of warmth. I felt that Beloved and also a shade like Rapture, like if you pair it with the warm tones, they pull more warm tone. But if you put it with the purples, they pull a bit more purple. So I love these kind of like palettes where you get a bit of warmth, but also a little bit of coolness at the same time. And depending on how you pair everything together, you will just get a different look every single time. And I feel that Limecrime is a brand that's really good at doing that. So having different, perhaps slightly unexpected colors together in one palette, and then they still work. So for me, this was a really nice one. It is a little bit more neutral though. I would have to say that the Juvia's Place one that I just showed you, that's like full on purple if you want it to be. Like you can like make that pop and make it this like super purple look. Whereas with this, I feel because there's quite a lot of like mutedness to this, that it becomes a little bit more neutral. So that has to be your cup of tea. I personally love that. That's one of the things I appreciate about Limecrime is that, yes, they have interesting color stories, but there's always something a little bit more wearable to them at the same time. So that's why this Venus 3 is definitely a really good one. I can't wait to go back to this. This is such a lovely spring summer eyeshadow palette. And I tried another one of their eyeshadow palettes. This is more recent though, because this is the Prelude Chroma. And they did 2 of these Prelude palettes, and I can't remember what the other one was called, but these were released in March, I think. These were spring releases, I think. And the minute I saw this, like it's got a teal, like you know I have to try it. I love teal eyeshadow. Yeah, that's teals and taupes. Those are my 2 favorite things, and if you combine them, magic happens. But this looks like a white, perhaps not on camera that much, but this looks a bit like a white in the pan and in a lot of the pictures, but it actually has a green flip to it. So that is a duochrome. And then you do get just 2 mattes in here, which I know, no, 3 mattes. You get 3 mattes because the teal is also a matte. But you have this like transition-y shade, which on my pale complexion, this is much more like a blend shade. So for me, it would be nice if this had an actual transition shade. However, you can blend these 2 together or that and the purple, and it works quite well to diffuse it and create that custom crease shade, you could say. What had me worried when I got this in were these 2 shades down here at the bottom. So the gold and the peach. But I have found that if you put the gold together with the teal and this peach together with the purple, that it works really well. I actually think that peach can go with the teals in here as well. You can go for an all like teal green look with this. You can add a bit more warmth. So like with the Venus 3, I feel that this is just a very versatile little palette, and the more I look at it, the more I want to do different looks with it. And that, in my book, with only 8 pans, makes for a great eyeshadow palette. I also did try a couple of things that are a little bit bigger. So we're now coming in the home stretch. I also tried the Sigma Enchant palette, and I'm gonna be very honest with you here. The main reason why I purchased this palette is Kelly Gooch, because she keeps raving about this eyeshadow palette, saying how great it is. And I have to say that I can see where she's coming from, but I don't fully agree with her that this is a great eyeshadow palette. Yes, it has really lovely, really stunning, unique matte shades. I love this shade over here, this shade over here, that shade, this shade. These mattes are so blendable, so buttery smooth. But you know me, I've already said it before in this video, I love me some shimmer. And it's the shimmers in this palette that I feel are a bit lacking. I like this green shimmer, but that's the only shimmer in this entire palette that I like. because I feel that the other shimmers in this palette just need too much building, too much foiling to really get an impact. Especially this shade, Metamorphosis. It's more like a topper. You can't really, like, I tried putting it all over my lid and it worked, but it did take me a good 5 minutes to get it onto full intensity. These rosy and purpley shades just aren't my favorite. Like, it's a good palette, good enough palette with at least like 1 or 2 looks that I really like. I would put Loam in the crease, blend it out with Innocent, put Evergreen in the outer V, Cosmos all over the lid, top it off with Metamorphosis, and then that's about it. I feel that there isn't really like a good shade for me personally. Yeah, maybe this purpley shade called Moonglade for the inner corner, because this is a matte cream. I'm not too fussed about it. I don't know. And Electrum does really go really nicely with the greens as well, so that would be the other take on that look. But I feel there's just this entire part of the palette, these 4 shades, those could have been left out. Like these pinky purpley shades and that like soft gold. I don't get it. So for me, these 4 shades need to go away. And then I do like the rest of the palette, but there's 4 shades out of 14, am I saying that correctly? 14, that I'm just not really a big fan of. So the shimmers in this weren't my favorite. And for me, having good shimmer is really, really important. So I can see why she likes it so much. If you love mattes and you like really good quality mattes, then this palette is going to blow your mind. But for me, I mean, really, honestly, that Evergreen shade is the only reason why I want to keep this palette around, because the other shades in here are just super basic and I have a million times over. But Evergreen, finding good matte greens, people, is really, really hard. And this is a really, really excellent option. I thought we were almost done, but I had just found out that I was missing 2 palettes. They had like fallen into one of the folds of my couch. And it's these 2 by iHeart Revolution, that's what these are by. I'm always confused which sub-brand we're talking about. So I always just call it Makeup Revolution, because that just go to the Revolution Beauty website and find these 2 palettes, and then you know, because whatever sub-brand they're from, I never know that. So I bought these 2 palettes because I did a full face of Makeup Revolution, which I will link in the eye above in case you're interested, where I already used a couple of the shades from this, but I've now used them like on its own just to see whether I could make a look with it. And at the time, I knew I wanted to try the mini Tasty Avocado because a lot of people were raving about the larger palette, but I'm not a big fan of Makeup Revolution's larger eyeshadow palettes for a few reasons. They do a lot of duplicate shades within the palette, and a lot of their palettes that are larger have so many neutrals, and then your eye is just drawn in to the pops of green that, for instance, the larger Avocado palette has. And you're like, am I really going to be using all those neutral browns that are in there? I'm not. So when they came out with a mini version of this, I was like, yes. And this, I'm not sure what Makeup Revolution is up to, but this is far better quality than what I've seen Makeup Revolution do in a long time. So I was very surprised. You only get 3 mattes, you get 5 shimmers, but these shimmers are absolutely stunning. Very, very lovely. I like this like mossy, kind of grassy green kind of shade, and then this grayish brown tone also has a green undertone. So for me, this is just a really nice, very small curated green palette, and green is one of my other favorite color stories, so that's why I wanted to try that, and it was very successful, so I was happy about that. But the surprise of these 2 little palettes is probably the Turkish Delight. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about this at all, but what you get in here is like, you only really get like a few neutrals in here. You get this orange tone. Is that really a, it's leaning quite orange enough for me to not call it a neutral. And then you get this champagne shade, and you get these 2 down the bottom. So you get a gold and this like brownie shade, but that brown shade has a bit of like a purpliness to it, so I feel it ties in really well together with these 2 shades here. And then you get 2 greens and this chartreuse. It's very similar to the one in the BH Cosmetics Royal Affair palette. It's a really stunning like chartreuse color, and I thought that this was a very surprising color story. You can pull this very purpley with a bit of neutral if you'd like. You can make this look very green. This is a very clever color story and very nicely curated as well, so good job Makeup Revolution. And I have to say that these little Makeup Revolution palettes I much more prefer over their larger ones. And then last but not least, I have to say I'm a little bit sad about this one because I tried the V Cosmetics Grimoire palette, and V Cosmetics is a UK indie brand, and a lot of their branding revolves around like witchcraft and the occult. And I thought, like, I spotted this on Instagram and I was like, yup, I want to try it. So what I didn't know about this palette is that it comes with 2 pressed glitters. It didn't look like it came with pressed glitters in any of the promotional pictures. It also didn't look like it had any shimmer or any like pressed glitters from the information on the website. So I was a bit let down by that fact. The minute I opened it, I was like, oh, it's got pressed glitters. And these are not nice pressed glitters. These are horribly chunky, very difficult to pick up. So for me, that was immediately a downside because I'm not a big fan of pressed glitters, and these are also the kind of pressed glitters that just don't go on very well. They are very sparse, they're very difficult to pick up, and once you get them on, they are impossible to get off and they get all over your face. So, not a big fan. However, the reason why I wanted to mention this here is that a lot of people have been saying that this is a dupe for the Jeffree Star Cremated palette, because that was of course released. Lots of controversy about the name, and now Jeffree Star is like completely canceled by like everyone. So I did want to show you this, that I've tried it, and I have to say that I did buy the Jeffree Star Cremated palette because it came in and then like a day later everything went wrong. This palette has nothing on that palette in terms of quality. This swatch is lovely. Its swatch is lovely, but the quality just isn't there in my opinion. It's not a bad palette. There are a couple of shades in here. This shimmering black is life. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of black eyeshadow, but this is life. I would keep around this eyeshadow palette just for that shade. Yeah, but I felt that this was so just murky, and the shades didn't blend very well. I felt there weren't enough like matte transition shades because you only get like these 3 mattes at the bottom, and then these 2 mattes here, and then these 2 mattes here. And this, just, it's a black and a gray, but on me they look identical. These 2 shades don't show up differently on your eyes. This like purpley shade just looked gray on me as well. And I just would have wished that one of these 2 was an actual matte transition, because everything in here is dark or it's green. And there's no in between. So for me, not the best. I do have to say again, these 2 shades are lovely. So this corner over here, those 3 shimmers, really, really nice. But there are 2 pressed glitters in here. The mattes are not just, I'm not a big fan of mattes to begin with, but these mattes just, no. I don't want to drag this brand. I don't want to be too negative in this video, but this is one of the worst eyeshadow palettes that I've tried in a long time. I think I was able to pull some stunning looks out of it. You can make it work. But for me, I don't want to have to put this much effort into making an eyeshadow palette work. I do really like that about this palette. It's got a couple of very unique shimmers, but I wouldn't have put my money into this if I had known that this just wasn't that great. It was great to try a new brand. I had never tried anything by V Cosmetics. I love that they are completely vegan and cruelty-free and all that jazz. They are based in Europe, which is also lovely. Was this a horribly expensive eyeshadow palette? It also wasn't, it had a good price point, and I think that for the price point, the quality is fair. It's just that I've tried other indie brands that are priced around the same price point that I feel have better quality. That's just the way it is. So there you have it. Those are my 10 eyeshadow palettes that I've used. There's a little bit more because I grouped the Nabla and the Makeup Revolution stuff together. But yeah, those are 10 eyeshadow palettes that I've tried in recent months. Let me know in a comment down below what eyeshadow palettes you've been trying out. I would love to know. In the meantime, please give this video a thumbs up so you can help me out getting my videos out there, and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more by me. I'm currently in the midst of doing only eyeshadow palette related content here on my channel, and therefore, you know, if you like eyeshadow palettes as much as I do, then please stay tuned because I've got lots more content coming your way. Hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.